Hello, good morning, good afternoon. I'm extremely excited to be here with you in this webinar. My name is Rakesh Sari. I call myself as a wellness practitioner, a very sincere wellness practitioner. And we have a very interesting, very simple, everyone knows about it and everyone practices that. And that is, how do we rest? As simple as that. How do we exercise? And what are healthy spaces? So that the synergy of these three bring even more to us. It is also said that often simple things are difficult and simple things are very effective. So we will be looking at the science and art of rest, exercise, and healthy spaces. With me out here, we have the team of Wellness Mandala and also Manisha, who is the co-founder of Wellness Mandala, and she will be taking us through with healthy spaces as we move on in this webinar. Well, friends, thank you all very much to be part of this journey, which is the fourth webinar today. We have started now and we'll be finishing by 1 o'clock. If you recall, we started with air, as simple as air. And if I may just take a few snippets out of these webinar, air is so vital for us, of course. That's what keeps us alive. Nose breathing, belly breathing. Take out some time during the day for deep breathing. The best way to activate our, our proactive system, our healing, our resting is through air, through proper breathing. We also had some very interesting facts about in the second webinar about sunlight, sunshine. While we all know sunshine is known for vitamin D, but it's not just vitamin D. Sunshine gives us so much. We talked about the nitric oxide. We talked about why sitting in sunshine, is so very important, not just for getting vitamin D, where by and large today's generation is so depleted of vitamin D, but also for our cardiovascular health, for our happiness, for setting sleep cycle to get nice sound sleep. Then we talked about water, which is the most important nutrient. We discussed that why drinking water, a large quantum of water at a time, doesn't work, because our body can absorb only 120 milliliters, and therefore we have to drink it intermittently. And 80% of our brain is water. So if our brain is deprived of water, we are no more creative, we are no more efficient, to the degree where we are having the potential. So drinking water, as simple as that, could be very, very therapeutic. It is the best nutrient. And of course, we discuss about the nutrients as well. And nutrients, we discuss that it's not just what we take, but how we take and when we take or eat is very important. Just a simple example of tomato, eating raw versus heating tomato to the level of 150, 190 degrees centigrade, like we make chutney in our homes, and putting maybe half a spoon of ghee or oil in it makes it much, much more effective, 250%, 300%. Why? Because the lycopene, which is one very important ingredient, which keeps us, safe from even dreaded diseases like cancer, can be protected, once we take the same tomato in a different way. We also discussed that we eat just before the bedtime, the same food is not as effective. At times, it gets counter-effective. So nutrients, when to take, how to take, the timing is very important. Well, friends, today is the day for rest, exercise, and healthy spaces. Let's put our focus onto that, and I will take you through with this trial. Now, while all the 9 laws, the natural laws of wellness, are integrated. They are all talking to each other. They're all enhancing the effectiveness of each other. They are perfect friends. They work in synergy. But here, right now, today, we'll talk the sync, the synergy of restfulness with exercise, and then these two to be done in healthy spaces. So that's what we're going to talk, and why at times become very important. That why are we talking about it? I think the first pointer which came to my mind, and we have done so much of research, and it is leaping out that these help us to maintain our youth. And I always say the fountain of youth could be at the age of 66 or 76 or 46 or 36 or 26. The fountain of youth is not a matter of age. The fountain of youth is a matter of how are we keeping our emotional and physical well-being. So we are saying that if our purpose is big, then how to achieve that is relatively simple. So today in this webinar, my job is that I want to be a messenger who will try to excite you to look around. There's so much of research available. Find your own sweet spot and maybe make little tweaks here and there in your routine to achieve that purpose, which is fountain of youth. It is also said that if we don't take care of ourselves, then someone else. So better we take care of ourselves. Well, let me move on with this purpose of exciting you for yourself, or maybe excite you for someone else. Maybe it could be your son or a daughter or your father or a brother. And the best way of adapting and the best way of learning what I have learned is by motivating someone else as well to join the bandwagon. So the restful exercise and healthy spaces, before we go forward, we would like to go through a very simple poll, and I will stop sharing the screen and we'll go through the poll right away on this very interesting subject of sleep. So Rohit, can you help in, here it is, the poll, and here I launched the poll and it is on. So I would request if you can please participate in this, and we have 15 seconds for getting your answers. So you can choose any of these. So one is my sleep quality is how, then I sleep for how many hours, and the third one is, do you sleep with lights on or in the pitch dark atmosphere? Do you have gadgets blinking in the night? And do we have Wi-Fi, our lifeline, also flowing in the night with us? So with the count of 5, I will stop this and show you the results. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and 5. So here I'm ending this and sharing the results with you. So what does it say? So the good news is that 50% people out here are saying sound sleep, which is a great news. But then there are 13%, so almost 65% people are in good shape. But 35% people, say 1/3, are in a situation where the things can improve further. The second question, I sleep for. There are some people who sleep for less than 5 hours. Maybe there is one person, 5 to 6 hours, 6 to 7 hours, so almost 75% people are sleeping less than 7 hours. And then balance, of course, are on the higher side. So I must say that this is a good group of people, Then further it says that sleep in pitch dark room is more than 50%, 61% people. While gadgets, etc. on is 32% people. Wi-Fi switched on at night is 35% people. Great, good to know this, and we will get back to these numbers, as we move forward. So I'm stopping this share and getting back to share the screen with you again for my next slide. And here we go. Okay. Let's moving. So I think many of us will relate with this, especially the 1/3 population out here in this webinar. So the rest and stress are not friendly. There is a difference between rest and rest. The stress is the biggest enemy of rest. At times, people, sitting in the best of the environment, the best of the air conditioning, with a lot of fancy paintings hanging around, nice couch, and they see a flower, a rose, and that rose leads to the valley, and the valley leads to the terrace, and more and more and more. And at times, a flower can make a person stressful. We have all seen that at times some relationships, while we are sleeping in the best of the bedroom, but the relationship issues, make us insomniac. So there is a wise saying that it is very important to go to the root cause and find out that root cause and eradicate the stress. Otherwise, the rest is not really a rest. And at Wellness Manla, we have curated a very interesting, psychometric tools to understand, is there any emotional stress coming to the person, and then how to take care of that. Then, we also did a survey, a poll, when we were in the webinar too. And if you see out here, their anxiety and stress is taking the maximum toll, more than 50%. And the resultant of that is following, like diabetes and acidity and reflux and the blood pressure issue and the obesity, etc. But stress could be one of the root cause, and that's what we're going to discuss a bit more in this webinar. That how do we handle that? So here we see a picture where the stress could be of physical nature. One can get hurt. It could be emotional. And again, the emotional stress could be leading to a physical stress, like a headache, or it is something which is very difficult to explain. It can lead to depression. It can lead to variety of issues. And as we say that 90% of the lifestyle disorders what we face are psychosomatic. Then it's environmental, about which my colleague Manisha is going to talk a bit more. They could be financial and of course social. So the best way is that if we can eradicate the root cause, if we can by communication, take care of the issues so that the other person understands that, look, why create stress, in our relationship, because there is enough around us in the world, and therefore we should come to a proactive solution. But then, the stress triggers stress hormones. When we get hurt, if you recall, we don't feel the pain because certain hormones are released. Our body is very intelligent. But then, the stress hormones increase our blood pressure, it increase our heart rate, it increase the blood sugar level because it revs us up to get ready for the fight or to get ready for the flight. So, and over time, when we experience that kind of stress, it leads to various kind of health risks, which could lead up to cancer as well. It could be starting with diabetes, could be the blood pressures and the inflammations, etc., etc. And we will it is very important to understand the science of that. Many of us may not be interested in that, but many of us want to understand the reason. And when we understand the reason, then we are more adaptable to find a solution. So I'm trying to give here the reason, the science, as well. We'll be talking about the art of how to handle the situation from the perspective of rest and exercise, and of course, healthy spaces. Now, when we were discussing about air, we talked about two dominant nervous systems, in our cells. One is a sympathetic. Sympathetic is that whenever, we see a danger or there is a fear or there is a risk, we get sympathetic nervous system activated, which is responsible to keep us alive in a way that, if the risk comes, if there's a car, coming at me at a speed, I have to act very, very fast. So this nervous system, is responsible of giving us instant energy, making the blood flow in our veins and limbs, taking it, from our organs and pushing it to our limbs, which can make us move faster. So if a tiger is chasing me, then it's not important whether I'm digesting food or not. I can digest 1 hour later. But what is important is that I should run. Then we have the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for healing us and building ourselves, their growth hormones. Now, this equation used to be that parasympathetic, which was the healer, which was the builder, used to be 80-90% of us. That's how we used to operate. And the risk and the threats used to be there maybe 10-20% time. And then, after doing the job, it will come back to the sympathetic, to the parasympathetic system. Somehow today, in last 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, this equation has changed. We can see the virtual tiger many places in many ways. As we were talking earlier, it could be through emotions, it could be physical, it could be financial, it could be many ways. So the tiger is looking at us many a times, this virtual tiger, and therefore our entire balance is disturbed. And it is important at least to recognize this fact and then see how do we handle it. So in simple words, the adrenal gland gets activated through hypothalamus and our pituitary gland. And I'll show you a short video. What happens when we get activated because of sympathetic nervous system? What kind of hormones are released? And then what can we do to handle them, in the next slides? So have a look at this.
What happens when we face stressful conditions? So we have a flight and fight response of our body, which activate our sympathetic nervous system, which also sends signals to the hypothalamus, from where it sends signals to pituitary gland and then to the adrenal medulla. Adrenal medulla is part of adrenal glands. There they form some of the hormones like adrenaline and noradrenaline, which rush into our bloodstream and also bring changes to our body, like increasing our arterial blood pressure, increasing the blood flow to the muscle, and also decreasing the supply to the organs, by which rapid motor activity takes place in our body to face this stressful condition. Now, it also increases the blood glucose level by increasing the glycolysis in the liver to supply the muscles. Now, it is called energy investment phase. When the threat is disappears, it returns back to the same levels. Now, let's talk about how to practice adrenal massage. So, put your middle finger and your index finger beside your belly button, and you're going to come out about 1 inch. Then you're going to move up about 1 inch as well. So it is about 2.5 centimeter from the belly button. Once you have located the point, try to put the pressure until you feel some kind of resistance and keep your abdominal muscle quite relaxed. Because if you're going to keep your abs tight, you are only going to working on your muscles instead of going deep into your reflex points for the adrenal glands. So try to massage it in circular motion as you're working with the neurolymphatic reflex points. Adrenal massage relaxes our parasympathetic nervous system by decreasing the production of stress hormones like cortisol, adrenaline, and noradrenaline, brings our body back to homeostatic state. It also helps our endocrine system to form some of the neurotransmitters which control and regulate our body function by helping us in lymphatic drainage, increasing the circulation, and lowering our cortisol levels by increasing the serotonin and dopamine production. You can do it in the circulatory motion, and these points are located 2 centimeter above the umbilicus and 1 inch beside the umbilicus. You can also perform cupping in the initial stage where you feel pain and resistance while pressing the reflex point. So you can cup your hand and tap on the skin for 2 minutes per day. This will help you release adrenal tension and enhance your adrenal gland performance.
So this was our wellness coach, Dr. Ruchika, who was speaking, and Vaishnavi, who's our yoga guru, in Wellness Mandala. So what we are saying out here is that there could be different techniques and tactics that how do we take control of our life, especially in terms of correcting the equation, in putting it in a way with which we were made in hundreds of millions of years. Today, our entire lifestyle, the life cycle is different, and it is important that we give due cognizance to these aspects. Now, this is a very simple daily cycle, and I'll try to explain you again to give the logic and the science of what is happening inside us. We have so much of knowledge what is happening around us, but I feel it is also very important to understand what's happening inside us. So when we get up, we get a release of cortisol, which is important, to make us move forward. It gives us energy. And there's another hormone called dopamine, called melatonin, which you see in the blue line in the first hemisphere on your left. So when we get up, the dopamine level, the stress hormone go up during the day, and then they start coming down. And the blue one, what you see is the calming one. And then when the evening comes, what's happening is that again this is the time for the stress to wind down, and our rest hormones, the healing hormones, they start moving up, and that is what is written there as melatonin. Now, so this is a simple physical diagram what you see out here, but what is behind the diagram is that in the morning when we get up and we get into the sunlight through our pineal gland, our third eye, helps in reducing the melatonin. It comes down and it sets a circadian rhythm, and again it starts going up after 12 hours. That's how we are wired up. In the evening, when we have bright lights, and especially the blue light in front of us, which goes into our eyes, that gives a signal to us that this is the time not to have melatonin at a high level. It should drop down because it apes like it is a daytime. And when we are stressed, the stress hormones go up. So our resting hormone like melatonin is inversely proportional to the stress hormone. And often what happens is that when this kind of a equation takes place, our stress goes up and our resting hormones comes down, we have disturbed sleep. And sleep is one of the most important investment what one can make for himself or herself. Now, what is happening also is that in the initial phase of sleep, is a phase where we get the physical repair of our system. And the later part is where we get the emotional repair or psychological repair. And I'll show it to you through another diagram. Now, this is what is depicted. I'm sure you would have heard of it. So there are 4 to 5 phases of sleeping. One is called REM, the rapid eye movement. So this is like in between stage of slumber. And then in the night, we go to the deep sleep mode, which you see in the first trough. And again, the sleep cycle is about 90 minutes, and we come back to the REM. Now, the deep sleep mode is a mode where we get physical repair of our body every night. And the REM is the part where we get the emotional repair. So a lot happened, but in a simple words, I may say that REM side, all our short-term memory gets filed into the long-term memory. Also, our experiences during the day, let's say, our experience is a mango. So our brain during the REM phase keeps the experience of the good part of mango and throws away the peel. And that's why, we say that a good sleep is very healing, not only for the body, but also for our mind. Now, the people who eat and sleep right after that, what is happening is that our heart is still pumping high because it has to digest. Our liver is working hard. And therefore, what is happening is that our body is not getting enough chance for the deep sleep. And we miss out big time because either we are sleeping late or we are sleeping with belly full. The best thing what we can do for us is to eat 3 to 4 hours ahead of sleeping, and that is the best thing to do for ourselves. And that's where our sleep cycle goes into the deep mode, and then is able to repair. Also, in the morning hours, the later part of the night is a time when the emotional healing is taking place. So some people who get up at 3 in the morning after 3 or 4 or 5 hours of sleep, that causes a big emotional stress because their emotional repair is not getting to the fullest extent. And we can have more discussion about it in Q&A if you are interested. Let me move to the next phase. So what is the solution? One solution is that we have to give a good rest to ourselves while sleeping. Sleeping could be the best investment for ourselves. And another aspect of that is exercise. By exercising, what do we get? We all know that. And the biggest gift what exercise can give us is our youthful life. In fact, if you want to read, there is an article in Times of September 2016. I would highly recommend you to go through it. And there, there is a quote which says that there is no pill that comes close to what exercise can do. And even if there was, it would be extremely expensive. We won't be able to afford it. Whereas exercise is essentially giving us whatever we need free of cost in majority of the cases. So the purpose of exercise is to extend our youthful life. It also impacts our brain in a very positive way, so for our emotional well-being. those of you who would like to research about this, there is a protein called BNDF, which is the best way of uh, rejuvenating our mind. It fires a lot of neurons in our mind. It builds new synaptic connections in our mind. So that again, exercise can help in expanding that, in multi level basis. Then we can prevent our lifestyle and metabolic disorders through the exercises. We release the good healing hormones like serotonin and melatonin, and all the good kind of hormones which are restful, which are building us, and we can also then boost our immunity and stamina. Through that, we can manage our stress in a much better manner. So these are complementary. A restful night, keeping ourselves in a well-balanced state, in the parasympathetic mode, and good exercise is one of the best elixir, what we can make for ourselves. Now, in terms of exercises, it is like this, that there are exercises which are like aerobic and cardio and strengthening exercises. And then there are exercises which are in the category of breathing, like Yoga Nidra is very effective way of healing ourselves emotionally, and meditation. And then yoga, the physical yoga, is what provides both the advantages of aerobic cardio and strengthening, as well as for the breathing, Yoga Nidra and meditation. So these are the exercises, and here, I like to take you through with one of the breathing exercise, what I call as a water exercise. And again, Vaishnavi is going to demonstrate that to you. So, typically we should be breathing 6 to 8 times a minute. And often, if you count, you would realize that we are breathing much more number of times, because we are having shallow breathing. Now, this is a matter of habit, and the habit can be formed. And what Vaishnavi was showing, that we, for example, when we are walking, we walk 5 steps while inhaling and 5 steps while exhaling. And this is what we call as a water breathing. And so that, we can do it throughout the day. So there are various forms of breathing exercises. There are a lot of gurus available around, and it's very important for each one of us to research out and adapt whatever is suiting the best. But we also have coaches, who can support in terms of curating a program, in terms of what are the best combination of the exercises to be taken, especially for the purpose of bringing the right balance between our healing cycle and the cycle which protects us from the stress. With this, we come to the section of healthy spaces. And we have with us my colleague Manisha, who's a very accomplished architect by education, but a very passionate professional on healthy spaces. She is a co-founder of Wellness Mandala, and she can see, and more importantly, correct the spaces, especially from the point of view of energy, how do we get the best optimal energy from a space. So here we go with Manisha. But before we I hand over to Manisha, we'll also like to take a poll, or maybe we'll take it later on towards the end. So Manisha, over to you.
Thank you, Aris. Thank you so much for beautifully explaining the yin yang of stress and rest, as well as bringing in exercise to the whole ecosystem. Important part which we have incorporated into 8 laws of wellness is healthy spaces. Reason being that this has become as critical as the 8 laws of wellness. So this is the ninth law, where especially in last couple of years, we have seen that 90 to 100% of our time is spent inside a built space. And it's important that it also becomes a part of your healthy rituals. So going forward, I think so many of us are aware of some of the aspects which look at healthy spaces, like nature. Bring nature inside your spaces by creating lovely indoor plants, which not only takes care of the carbon dioxide level, which we, with the environment which we are creating a lot of carbon dioxide because if the doors are closed, windows are closed. It also takes care of some of the other aspects of or purifies your air. So nature is very, very critical part of bringing in inside your spaces. Second is the fresh air. So if you are bringing in fresh air, it's important sunlight. We have spoken about a lot about sunlight and fresh air in our spaces. Healthy kitchen. I feel this is the critical important aspect because that's where most of something which we digest or ingest comes from our kitchen. So it's important that kitchen plays a very critical role. Essential oil, I maybe ask Aris to throw little light on essential oil, but to me, space comes into life if it also smells beautifully. And not just it gives right aura to our senses, but sometimes it also creates a healthier environment. For example, simple thing, if you remember, we used to light camphor in our homes. Camphor is a good disinfectant. Today we use multiple disinfectant which could be sometimes dangerous for our body. This is a natural way. If you just have a fume of camphor, or that maybe light a camphor on your every day in your home, it is very, very good to have the whole house disinfected. It has antiviral, antibacterial properties. So this is just a simple way. Maybe if Aris wants to throw some light on the other essential oil part of it, Aris, would you like to say something about that?
Maybe you go ahead, Manisha.
And the important aspect which some of us have written initially, that 32% of us are sleeping with our gadgets on, and 35% are also sleeping when your wireless radiation is surrounding it. So today scientists are calling this electrosmog. The kind of smog it is creating in our environment, starting from the equipment I'm speaking to you right now, the mode of equipment is also a kind of electrosmog which is bringing, or it's there around our lives. So things like your mobile phone, laptops, unfortunately, if you have tower or boosters next to you, your Wi-Fi router, baby monitors, everything. In fact, smart watches, which we wear all the time, these are all wireless radiation. They are not visible to our eyes, but we are swimming in them. And I would not go into detail of what it could do to you because there is enough research if you just Google it. The only thing is that people are saying there is no conclusive evidence, or these radiations are not immediate impacting, which I agree. They don't impact you immediately. But imagine if I recently was reading an article where they had done research in UK. They found that if for adult life, 33 years of our life is going to be spent in front of screens, whether for work or whether for entertainment. So almost 2/3 of our lives we are going to spend in front of screen, which is going to be wireless radiations. So we need to think about it, and there are some critical tips which I will give you, which will help you take care of it. Simple things like sleeping with your gadget at least 1.5 feet away. So electrosmog mainly is the game of distance. If you want to protect yourself, you need to keep distance. As Aris was saying, that if you want a good quality of sleep, please stop using your white light or blue light gadgets at least an hour before you go to sleep, because as our eyes will always be exposed to that blue light, so melatonin will not be released in your body, because your eyes will send signal to your brain saying that it's not night. So stop using your gadget at least 1 hour or 30 minutes before you go to sleep. Keep your mobile phones at least 1.5 feet away, because if you put it close to your head, which many of you had written that you do put it, it is going to create, not allow you to have a good quality of sleep. So in spite of doing everything, many a times we realize that we are not looking at some aspect. Like half the time when we go to someone's home, sleep quality is one of the issue they talk about. The reason which we find are critical reason which we find are two. One is you are sleeping very close to your gadget. Some of the places Wi-Fi is just put very close to your bedroom or your head table, thinking that Wi-Fi is, you can't, because you want all the Wi-Fi network to be precise. Or sometimes you put it very close to a study table. Today the kids are studying so much, so just simple tip that keep the distance. So keep your distance. If you have a Wi-Fi router and you want to leave it on at night, at least have it 10 to 15 feet away from your beds. This diagram is showing you how much we are impacted, starting from various devices. The second aspect, which as an architect I didn't know, but I found was very, very critical to our health, a phenomena called geopathic stress. This, as the word suggests, these emanate from ground. They are also known as ground radiation. In this layout plan, if you see, there is a red line which is cutting the bed of one of the person, where it is cutting the leg zone of the person. This red line is the geopathic line. Again, you can't see it with visible eyes, but because with instrumentation, you are able to measure it, because they have a wavelength and a frequency. So there's enough research. If you will be sleeping on these geopathic line, your sleep quality is not going to be okay. Many of us have experienced. We say, "Yahan to mujhe bahut achhi neend aati hai," where in some other room I just can't sleep. So what is it which is making you sleep in one place very well and the other place not so well? So this is one of the phenomena which we should measure if you are having a difficulty of health or sleep, or just want to stay a very healthy or a very life. So I think so. This is what I wanted to share about healthy spaces. More in detail can be seen on wellness website. And I will now ask RS to take ahead this webinar with what else you have for us.
Thank you, Manisha. And before we conclude for Q&A, I would come on saying that whatever is measured improves, and whatever is measured and rewarded and recognized, improves even faster. So at Wellness Mandala, we look at the wellness of ourselves with these 5 lenses. One is that how am I taking care of myself? And there is a measure for that on our tech platform. What is my emotional well-being, which is the joy capital? What is my fitness level? What is my vital capital? And here I like to show, the report of the vital capital, because we have been talking about various kind of hormones and various kind of, mechanism which talk about what's happening inside us. So that's where, we measure under the vital capital, and of course the blood picture. So out of these 5, the subject what we discussed today, in fact, these 5 capitals tell a story about our wellness. Where are we coming from? And also it is forming the path that where can we go depending on where we want to go, by first understanding these aspects and then taking care of them, through our self-care capital. So this is a report which comes in the vital capital. You see that it has all the lifestyle markers like cardio fitness, like it has the emotional wellness, the serotonin level, dopamine level, the stress level. It has also autonomic nervous system markers, which are sympathetic response tests, which are parasympathetic response tests, GSR tests. Then on the vascular system, of course, starting with the blood pressure and the endothelial functions, etc. So this is a non-invasive test what we carry out essentially to understand what's happening in our body, and this test can be done in 10 minutes time and provides a very interesting picture about our emotional as well as our physical well-being. With this, I would say is a time for the Q&A, and it's absolutely a no-brainer that we need to shed stress and anxiety. And the question is how? And going by the philosophy what we are having for last 5,000 years, especially in our country, these natural laws which exist for us in shape of air, water, sun, exercise, rest, healthy spaces are the answer. So we are open for Q&A, and you're most welcome. Maybe Shakti, if you like to steer the Q&A from your side, would be great.
Thank you so much, RS. It was a wonderful session. It was great information which you shared with all of us. So after this, you spoke about sleep. I want to ask, can insomnia can be cured with Vellum coaching? Can there is a cure through that? So can you put some light on that subject as well?
In fact, it's a great question, and it's not a good idea to suffer not to sleep.
Yeah, true.
There are various therapies like cognitive behavior therapy, and I would request Leher, who's our emotional well-being coach, to throw light on that. Leher, over to you.
Hello. So, as RS rightly said, CBT is definitely extremely helpful for insomnia. So, it's a form of psychological intervention that has been demonstrated to be effective for a range of issues, including insomnia. So, it helps us identify unhelpful thoughts and behavioral practices and helps us replace them with better ones. So, it helps us formulate better sleeping practices, and some parts could be like sleep hygiene or relaxation training amongst the others, and it's a definitely better and a more long lasting solution than medications that people usually refer to, the sleeping pills, which are also addictive to quite an extent. So CBT is definitely a healthier option and a more long term sustainable option for insomnia.
Okay. Thank you so much, Leher. It is so relaxing to know insomnia can be cured with your help as well. So, RS, I want to ask you one more thing. You told about different forms of exercise. So, why are they important? Please put some light on that thing also.
Absolutely. We have seen people who are very muscular, like Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Yeah.
But when it comes to the question of flexibility, there's a big issue. And some of us can relate with that. So a healthy body has to be muscular with good bone density, also very flexible. Flexibility is life. At the same time, emotional and spiritual well-being is also very, very important. So if we choose, for example, only weights, or if we are only walking, or if we are doing only pranayama, so the best would be to have a combo, at least from those A and B category. So that's what I would say. But I would request Dr. Ruchika, who's our naturopath. Would you like to throw any further light on this?
Yes, Aras. So as we talked about, we have already grouped our exercises. So there are some exercises which require a lot of energy, which comes into our sympathetic activation of our nervous system. Whereas there are categories like yoga, meditation, and mindfulness, where we practice meditation and all. So these practices come, yoga nidra, these practices come under the parasympathetic response. So it activates our parasympathetic nervous system, providing us calming relaxation effects on our body. So basically, when we perform aerobics, weights, so aerobics is moving your body very rapidly, making a lot of movements in your body, which will help you strengthen your bones, muscles, and etc. It also helps to improve your lung and heart activity as well. Same as with the weights. When you're lifting a lot of weights and performing some of the exercises like lunges, etc., lifting weights. So these are resistance training, which helps you boost your endurance, strengthen your muscles, and also prevent some of the injuries. Okay, so by preventing the osteoporosis and all. So similarly, when we talk about the yoga exercises, yoga plays all the major role. It works on your physical, mental, and as well as spiritual well-being. So when you talk about yoga, it covers all the aspects, whether it is spiritual, emotional, and your emotional well-being. So same as it includes pranayamas, asanas, meditation, and all the practices which we want. So meditation also, it helps you calm down your mind, relax your stress level, improve your immunity as well, by creating a mindset where you have very good imagination techniques, how to boost your stress, how to boost your energy levels in your body and all. So these exercise play a major role. So you can combine some of the things, like you can combine the aerobics with weight training, you can combine cardio with weight training, and you can also combine yoga stretches with some of the weight strengthening exercises, along with pranayama and meditation practices.
Thank you, Dr. Ruchika. I may add here that as a follow-up mail, to this webinar, we will be sending you some links which are really very classic links for Yoga Nidra. Yoga Nidra, a lot of research has gone around that, and is the easiest form of meditation. It is very, very therapeutic. It is one of the best elixir for emotional well-being. So do try it out. You would be getting into your mailbox in a couple of days from now.
Sure. So one last question, Aris. You showed us the detailed report, that vital report, and in there you spoke about the hormones, the serotonin, dopamine. Can you tell us something more about that? How you measure it? How all this is done? So please just tell us something about that.
So we have imported this machine from USA, which is FDA approved, and it is a non-invasive machine, and we use the body interstitial fluid, with very low impedance current in that. I would suggest, Dr. Shakti, why not you take it further, because you are the specialist on our vital capital aspect.
Yeah, thank you so much. It is my pleasure to tell about it. So it is a non-vital test, and it is a non-invasive test, I would say, and it is done through electrointerstitial fluid. A very low voltage current flows through the fluid which is present outside the cells, and through that we get all the information. So for the hormones as well, the serotonin, the dopamine, even the mental stress, about the vascular functions, autonomic functions, if you are prone to develop diabetes in future, blood pressure. So all the information you get in those 5 to 10 minutes, and it will make you aware of your future problems. So it is a wonderful vital test, and it is very important.
Yeah, you're right, because it is not only just telling about where we stand today, but it is also good prognosis. What can happen in next 2, 3, 5 years? For example, the onset of diabetes, or even it talks about the thyroid issues, etc.
Thyroid issues, all issues which are very important for us. And RS, some issues are like which are unnoticed by us. That also it addresses it very nicely, and it can prevent you from further complications. So it is a very nice test.
Great.
Thank you.
Anything else, Shakti?
No, that's all for the Q&A part.
Okay, then I will take a feedback poll. it's a simple poll, and would be good to see that what do you feel about this webinar. So we will keep it for 15 seconds and look forward to your response. Okay, so last 5 counts. 1 and a 2 and a 3, 4, and now we are closing this. So this is how it looks like. And thank you all. Thank you very much for your active participation. Really enjoyed being with you, and look forward to our the next webinar, which is going to be next Saturday. And if I may share this last screen with you, which talks about the power of synergy. So we have so far covered 7 of the natural laws of wellness, and 2 more on the trust and commitment. You know, we'll be talking about in the next webinar, and that is where, you know, which is the riding force. And you would agree that you know, when we are in sync, the power is multiplied many folds. So next webinar we are going to have on the trust and commitment, and the next to that we would be showcasing the Vellum ritual, that if you imbibe those habits, if we imbibe those habits in our life, then these 9 natural laws of wellness will be with us. They'll be working for us. And the combined power of these 9 natural laws of wellness would be truly profound in terms of giving us a good, healthy, happy life. So bye for now. Thank you all very much. Thank you all, the team Vellum Wellness Mandala, and look forward to see you next Saturday.
Thank you.